up, good people? Welcome to another episode of This Is Dope. It's your man Ahmad here to let you guys know about some things that I ran across this week that were dope. We have a couple of new music releases that happened last week, a couple of spots that I went to that were pretty dope, and in the dope tech department, iPadOS Beta 4 was released a couple of days ago. Been messing around with that, as well as my impressions of iOS Beta 4 and the new watchOS Beta, and so forth and so on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Start with the short stuff. Music. A lot of dope music was released last week, Friday. A lot of great projects. There were four that stood out to me in particular, though. Yuna, Malaysian R&B singer, great voice, puts out really great projects. She released a project called Rogue. You may have heard her song with G-Eazy, Blank Marquee. The whole project is fire. I love it. And then the incomparable Elle Varner also finally put out another project. I think it's been maybe 2011 or 12 since we actually heard a project from her. She came out with a single earlier this year, or maybe about a month ago. Well, the project's out. It's called Elevation. Great project. It's actually probably my favorite project out of the four. Running a close, I don't even say second, kind of like a 1A type or 1B type situation was a project that got put out by elzhi. elzhi put out a project called Out of Focus. Great hip hop, great beats, great rhyme, great content. Just overall dope project. I was really happy and excited to see him put out something, and even more excited about the quality of the project once I listened to it. Lastly, Big K.r.i.t. It's Big K.r.i.t. Anyone from the South knows Big K.r.i.t. If you're not from the South, you still probably heard of Big K.r.i.t. Puts out great music, great project. Just really something that was well worth the listen. I've listened to these four projects multiple times over the past week. I'm going to put the links in the description below. Definitely go check them out. Great music. Next, let's get into the dope culture or dope happenings part of today's episode. This past Friday? Yeah. Had the opportunity and the experience to go hang out with a friend of mine. He invited me out. We went to go do what we normally do, which is smoke cigars, drink a little bourbon, kind of chit chat. The place we went to was called Burn. Burn is in the Battery near the Braves Stadium here in Atlanta. Well, Burn is a cigar lounge. They have bourbon and you can eat and so forth and so on. But you can smoke in there. They have a humidor. It's one of quite a few cigar lounges here in Atlanta, but to me, it's definitely one of the nicer ones. Experience was great. Wait staff was very professional. Drinks were on point. Humidor fully stocked. Just a great experience. Cigars. I had a smoked old fashioned, and conversation. It was wonderful. From there, after we kind of hung out there for a little while, we went to another spot in Atlanta that many of you in the Atlanta area are probably familiar with, or maybe you're not. Blind Pig. Every time I go there, I have a great time. What Blind Pig is a speakeasy in the back of another restaurant. It's a speakeasy type of establishment. Excuse me. You need to know a password to get in. There's no big sign saying, "Hey, here we are." There's a little sign on the door. It's kind of reminds you of the back in the day where had the little speakeasy things where you had to know the password to get in and wasn't well advertised, that type deal. But once you get inside, great atmosphere. Once again, great drinks. We actually ordered some food there. Had the brisket sliders, pretty serious. And I had the lobster mac and cheese. Oh, I had a sample of someone's lobster mac and cheese. Great times, great atmosphere, great drinks, with some great people. We went to yet another spot. We went to the Regent's Cocktail Club. which I love. Great experience, great drinks, great atmosphere, really great music. Rooftop bar here in Atlanta. It's just overall dope experience. It was a pretty dope weekend. So, if you're in Atlanta, definitely go check those places out. I'm going to leave links to their websites or their names in the description below. Great places to kick it. So that brings us to the dope tech part of today's video. I actually had intended on doing it on something different. I've been kind of playing around with making beats. Once again, I'm not a producer. I'm just playing around with stuff on my iPad, of course. And was going to do a video on that. However, iPadOS Beta 4 came out, what was it, yesterday, day before yesterday. And really just wanted to kind of give you guys my impressions of it, my recommendations on whether to install it on your primary devices, and also how I've now altered my workflow a little bit with my iPad Pro. So let's go ahead and get into that. So here we have my 12.9-inch 2018 iPad Pro. If you guys seen my first video or my previous video on iPadOS, you'll notice something a little different about my iPad Pro. It's missing the keyboard folio case that I was using from Apple. Not that I don't still have it. I do. I've just modified my workflow. What I am doing really is just trying to use the iPad just without a case. I actually think it's sleeker. It's lighter to carry this way. And really, this is one of the reasons why I brought the 12.9-inch iPad Pro. So what I'm doing now, let me go ahead and open up this Pages. So if I want to type something, I am utilizing the floating keyboard. Now, if I need to type something of more substance, like here, I can go ahead and just type and I'm good. I can normally one-hand it. I can also blow this up, right? So if I need to really just get into it, I can get into it. I purchased the 12.9-inch iPad Pro specifically for this reason, just in case I wanted to use the actual software keyboard. Doing it on the 11-inch for me was a little bit too constrained. And while I like the keyboards, I wanted the option of not carrying the keyboard. I kind of do things at a whim sometimes. And like now, I'm not wanting to carry the keyboard. I'm wanting to just really carry this in my bag. So this still works out great for me. So to go ahead and minimize this. Oh, and let's see if I can do it with one hand. Normally, nope, I can't. Apparently, I'm not coordinated enough. So it's two hands. Minimize it back, and you have the floating keyboard again. So one of the bigger fears that I had in doing this was with the new multitasking in iPadOS 4, would this floating keyboard get in the way or would it be functional to do other things? So here we have me just adding that there. And let's add another one. Let's add notes. Let's add a note in here. Let's see. There we go. Let's see. Okay, I apparently am not wise enough to do this or something's happening. But anyway, let's try. Oh, I already have notes open. All right, so everyone knows about the switching between apps with the floating window. Now, let's just go to some place where I actually want to type. Let's see. Let's do here. Let's create a new note. You see the floating keyboard's up there. Still move it around. And voila, I can type whatever I want to type. I can also compose a new email. And it'll pop back up in the same place it was before. That's great. So yeah, my new workflow with this is working out pretty well so far. I can say I've only been doing this, maybe about 2 weeks. So far, so good. Once again, this is my primary work machine, so I am doing the majority of my work, attending conference calls, as well as my primary personal machine. So I'm doing personal things on here as well. So, and it's all working well without me having to use the keyboard folio case, just using the software keyboard, both in the minimized and the expanded form factors. iPadOS Beta 4, though, as I stated earlier in the video, just downloaded that a couple of days ago. Stability for me has improved greatly. I was experiencing a lot of freezes, especially when doing work functions. I use a lot of G Suite products in my current role. So, attending meetings, composing emails, instant messaging, things like that was really, really freezing up. Now I haven't experienced a lockup in the past couple of days, whereas I'd experienced 2 or 3 a day before. Also, touchscreen hasn't become unresponsive before. I would do certain things, even non-G Suite related, and I would try to open an app, and while it's still there, you could see it being responsive. The app wouldn't open. It was like the touchscreen was kind of locked. I would have to reset my machine, and and start all over again, or pick up where I left off, depending on how I saved the document I was working on or whatever I was doing at the time. Another big improvement that I have noticed is for shortcuts. The automation with shortcuts appears to be, I guess, working better or a little bit more stable, maybe. It is definitely not as buggy as it was before. So that I just set those up. Those appear to be working great. Overall, this build is just a much more stable build. From iPadOS and iOS and watchOS, which I have it installed on my watch as well as my primary phone now. I can safely recommend that iPadOS, iOS, and watchOS beta 4s are very, very stable. And I could recommend installing those on your primary devices and you not being crippled, right? Now, once again, it's beta software, so there still may be bugs that pop up here and there, but stability is great. One thing I haven't really had a chance to do is test out the Files app. I was having problems importing files directly from my micro SD to my iCloud drive via the Files app before. I haven't had an opportunity to test that out yet. Actually, I'm going to do it with this video because I'm going to edit it on my iPad. We'll see. Hopefully that problem is resolved. Once again, people, though, this is beta 4. The official release is really not due until the fall, something in the September timeframe. So there's probably another 6 weeks until the Golden Master version of iPadOS, iOS, watchOS, and tvOS, as well as Catalina, comes out, right? And I'm running all beta software on the majority of my products. I have the tvOS installed on my Apple TV here in my office, and that's working great. I have Catalina installed on my MacBook, my 12-inch MacBook. Yes, I said a 12-inch MacBook, the one that's going away. But I have it installed on there. It's running great. I haven't had any issues. All of them have the latest beta versions, and so they're the most stable. Before that, I was having various issues with things. I haven't noticed any of those issues in the past couple of days. If anything comes up, I will keep you posted. But I can, once again, recommend that these are ready for prime time. If you haven't tried iPadOS on your iPad, now's the time. Definitely change the way you use and how you think about your iPad and what you can do on it. The mobility factor is second to none. Now I'm going to DEF CON in a few weeks. So now I'm going to be able to fit my 12-inch MacBook and my iPad in that same sling that I showed you guys in my everyday tech carry video, right? With plenty of room. With plenty of room. So that's the thing. That's the really, really attractive thing about working with this form factor with the iPad. The keyboard case was great, but taking it away eliminated some additional bulk. But I'm going on a different rant here. What I really want to stress is that the versatility of iPadOS and what it brings to the iPad Pro in particular will make this machine capable of doing more than likely 90 to 95% of everything you need it to do. The only reason I can't say 100% in my case is I work in InfoSec, so I do a lot of research. I also launch a lot of VMs. Research, great. Can't launch a VM on here yet. I do some lightweight scripting. There are a couple of great Python apps on here. Attempting to teach myself how to code. Outside of Swift, there aren't really many great environments that I've learned, that I've come across that will enable you to learn how to code. So I still play around with Xcode on my MacBook. But like I said, 90-95% of what you want to do, you can do on your iPad with iPadOS Beta 4, especially now that it's super stable. Go out, install it. If you guys want to play around with iPadOS and see what's coming, you won't regret it. Well, hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that was informative or has some sort of positive impact. As you guys can see, iPadOS is really, really stable. This build is very, very stable, the Beta 4 version, as well as the rest of the Apple betas that I am running, which is watchOS 6 beta. I think this is Beta 4. tvOS, the latest beta, Catalina on my Mac, the latest beta, and iOS 13, the latest beta. All of them I've had installed on my machine for a couple of days, for a couple of days, and they have been incredibly stable, much more stable than the previous builds. I can confidently say that they are ready for prime time from a stability standpoint. I have them installed on all of my machines currently. I have not experienced any issues. They definitely can be installed on machines that you use every day if you're wanting to go ahead and really play around with the new OSs and the new features, and you're not wanting to wait to the official release in the fall. I have a developer beta installed on mine. I'm anticipating them probably releasing the public betas of all of these probably sometime early next week. That's what they generally do, generally lag a week behind the developer betas for public betas. So if you're not a developer and you're waiting on the public betas, when they release it next week, I would definitely recommend going ahead and installing those. From a workflow standpoint, as you guys can see, due to the new features of iPadOS and its stability, and because of the form factor of my iPad, I'm going ahead and, working without the keyboard folio. Really, it's mainly because I bought the 12.9-inch iPad, and it has the extra screen real estate to allow me to do, the soft keyboard, both the condensed version and the full-blown version, without really obstructing anything that I need to see too much. And I removed the keyboard case because, as I said before, I have my bag with me most of the time. Things in my bag. It's protected. It's covered. That bag never leaves me. Even when I'm at the gym, that bag's with me. So that's my use case for doing it. Your use case may be a little bit different. But anyway, hopefully that was helpful as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, got something out of it, learned something, gained some additional insight, whatever the case may be. If you have any comments, any suggestions, any questions about either, iPadOS, my workflow, the music I mentioned earlier, the places that I mentioned earlier, or if you have some things or music you want me to check out, please leave comments below, and I will definitely look into it. If I can do it, I will do it. If I like it, you'll see it in the video, and I'll shout you out. But that's it really today for the episode. Hopefully everyone has a great rest of your day, a great rest of the week. And with that, everybody, I am out.